Hello, today I'm going to be explaining why this is on my face and the 11.5 hour surgery it took to get this far. Now, if you haven't seen my last video, it explains a little bit more about why I had to have this surgery, but just to make a long story short, I have a very rare form of cancer called adenoid cystic carcinoma. And because of that, I had a mass growing in between my eyes, and it started in my left sinus cavity. It got to be about 1.5 centimeters in diameter, and in case you don't know how big that is, it's right here in this picture. It had gotten quite large. So from the day I was diagnosed with cancer until the day of my surgery, it was 60 days. So in between that 60 days, I had to meet with a neurosurgeon who would be working on the brain part of my surgery. So we drive to Nashville, which is about 4.5 hours away from where I live. I'm from a small town called Jefferson City. So we drive 4.5 hours all the way to Nashville to meet with the brain surgeon to talk about my surgery, the potential side effects, and what to expect after the surgery and the healing process from it. So we get there, we go into her office, huge building, a little bit intimidating for sure. I guess given all the circumstances, it doesn't make it any easier for me. So we get in there and we start to talk to her, and she starts to go over things to expect from the surgery, like some of the downsides of having to remove this tumor. Basically, she put it like a cancer doctor who would also be performing the surgery, who was actually directing the entire surgery. She is just working on the brain part of the surgery. Would start by cutting small cuts here, here, and here, and remove the tumor as much as he can that way. She would have to go in from the top of my head. I don't know if you can see the stitches still here, and pull down my face to get in from the top to get the tumor that way. So, as you could guess already, it was pretty intimidating hearing that, but it was information that I guess I needed to hear. The other thing that we're going to have to do is called a neck dissection, and they're going to have to cut me from this part of my ear all the way down here through my neck. You can still see the scars it's trying to heal right now, to take out a lymph node to make sure my cancer had not made it to my lymph nodes yet. My tumor had gotten so large that it was actually pushing up on my left eye muscle, which they were scared because of that it was spreading into my eye. So they thought they would probably have to take my eye out. In fact, she told me to go ahead and expect that. That would probably be part of the process. So the reason I have this on my nose, this is called a skin flap. It is actually not a skin graft. This was taken from my forearm, along with nerves and bones from my wrist to rebuild my nose where they had to remove the tumor. They took skin from my thigh to use as a skin graft to put back over my forearm where they had to put this on my nose. So another one of the side effects of the surgery would be that I would no longer have smell, because they would have to go in really deep in my nose where the tumor had penetrated to cut my smell receptors out to make sure there's no cancer on them. And another side effect of no longer having smell receptors is your smell receptors and your taste bud senses are intertwined. So when you lose one, the other one is greatly diminished. She told me I'd probably have about 40% taste and probably no smell left, and no feeling in the left side of my nose. I wouldn't be able to raise my eyebrows, and they might have to take this eyebrow along with the eye. As you could already tell, probably, it was a lot to hear in one sitting. Thankfully, I had my mother with me, which, by the way, small tip, if you ever have to go through one of these things, or you have to prep for a surgery or anything important, it is very vital, in my opinion, to have more than one person with you, because 2 sets of ears is always better than one, especially if you're going through something like this. This is a major surgery due to a very, very bad cancer diagnosis. We head home, and I have 30 more days to prep for the surgery. And I'm nervous because it's a major surgery, and the last surgery I've ever had was a surgery to get my tonsils removed when I was like 6 years old. So I haven't been put under. It's a small fear of mine. The idea of somebody putting a mask on me and me going to sleep and just waking up like everything's normal after all that surgery is happening was a scary thought. So we have 30 days to prep for the surgery. So we decided to eat as many things as I enjoy and to smell as many things as I enjoy, since I would soon no longer have those senses. I tried to use both of my eyes. I know that sounds silly. For as many things as I possibly could, I did VR. I watched as many video games as possible because I wasn't sure if it would strain me to do so after the surgery. So weeks go by and surgery day is finally here. It is the day before surgery, and we go to Nashville because it's 4 hours away from my hometown, and we stay in a nice motel to have one more great night. We go out to eat at some amazing taco place. Got some of the best tacos I've ever had, and we go back to the hotel room, and I get almost no sleep. And it was a hard night. I was really, really nervous. I was ready for it to be done, but I was nervous. So that morning, because my surgery is at 7 a.m., and the hospital wanted us there by 5:30 a.m. So I can't eat or drink anything all night long until surgery. So we get up at 4:30 a.m., we get dressed, I take a shower, I piddle around for a little bit, and then we head to the hospital, which is in walking distance of this very nice motel that we're staying at. We get to the hospital, and I am just ready for it to happen now. Before I left, I was scared, but by the time I got there, I was just ready for this to be over with. I was ready for the tumor to come out of my face. So we go get checked in for surgery. I love on my wife, and I love on my mother, and I go back to this waiting room where they put me in the hospital gown. They check my blood pressure. They take all my vitals just to make sure everything is okay. And I get doctors and nurses coming in there prepping me for what's about to happen. And basically I'm told again to expect to no longer have a sense of smell, a sense of taste, or most of my taste, to expect for this eye to be gone, and everything else that is coming with the surgery that I've already explained. I'm sitting back there in the OR room, and I get to hug my mother one last time right before they wheel me back to surgery. And they take me back to the surgery room, and I get back there, and I look around, and there's all of these surgical tools. There's scalpels, there's these weird-looking pliers, there's gauze, there's there's everything laid out on this table. And I'm just sitting there, nervous, but ready for it. And they put an oxygen mask over me, and then they put an IV in me, and I'm out within like 10 seconds of them putting this IV in me. I'm out. And the surgery took 11 and a half hours. I was warned that it could be anywhere from 7 to 12 hours, but it ended up taking 11 and a half hours, so almost at the latest possible time it took. But I'm asleep for probably 15 hours because while I was in surgery, I actually had a lung collapse. And due to the lung collapse, they wanted to keep a breathing tube inside of me so that way I could have as much oxygen as I needed. So I wake up and I still have a breathing tube inside of me. It's stitched in my mouth with 2 stitches. And the first thing I want to do is just pull it out, but I realize that it is very painful to even move, so I just leave it alone. And then I check my eyes, and I had both of my eyes, and I could not believe I had both my eyes. I was so happy about it. Unfortunately, because they kept both of my eyes instead of taking one out, I now have double vision. It is very hard to see because of the eye muscle they cut out. Now this eye strains to look in the same pace as the other eye. So every time I look around, I see double vision. It's very hard. I have to hold my head a certain way just to not see the double vision. But I wake up from the surgery, and man, it felt like I got hit by a bus. I will post some surgical pictures right here. It was intense. My face was huge. I looked crazy. I had tubes in my neck. I still have scars from it. I had tubes in my forehead. The scars finally gone away. It was crazy. But I wake up, and about an hour after I wake up and lay there, a nurse comes and checks on me. He asks if I'm awake, and I nod my head yes. Finally, after so long, my mother and my wife finally come in the room. And man, was it amazing to finally see them again. I felt not alone anymore. I felt great. I was only in the hospital for about 5 days, even though I was told it could be 5 to 7 days at the start. And I was only kept in there for 5 to 7 days because my blood work came back great. I was in the ICU, so they checked my blood and my sugar every 2 hours. And man, it was painstaking because you couldn't go to sleep. I was in a lot of pain during the time I was in the hospital. I couldn't walk. There was a lot of strain with everything I did. But if you guys want a part 3 to know how I felt when I got home, what the healing process was when I was home, what it was during the days of the hospital stay, just leave a like and subscribe, and I will make a 3rd video. Thank you.